The true vulnerability of a system is the moment the title is respected more than the truth. It's this quiet shift, right? An almost invisible compromise that happens every single day in offices and organizations all over the world. And it is, without a doubt, the single greatest exploit in the entire architecture of human power. Just let that sink in for a second. This isn't about good leaders or bad leaders. No, this is about the system itself. A system that grants authority, credibility, and the power to command, not based on a person's competence, but on their position. So, in this explainer, we're going to deconstruct the hidden psychology of hierarchy. We're going to pull back the curtain on why you feel that pressure to obey a directive you know is wrong, and then we'll arm you with a protocol to reclaim your own judgment. All right, so here's our roadmap. We're going to start with the paradox that sits right at the heart of this problem. Then we'll break down the engine that actually drives it and the feedback loop that keeps the whole thing running. After that, we'll look at your own brain's programming. And finally, the most important part, we'll get into the tactical countermeasure, the protocol to recouple competence with authority, which will give you a powerful new strategic insight. So, let's start with a feeling I am almost certain you've experienced. You're in a meeting, a directive comes down from on high, and every rational fiber of your being is screaming, "This is a terrible idea." And yet, you find yourself nodding along. That right there, that's the power paradox. It's that internal cognitive dissonance we all feel when we're forced to obey a title we simply don't respect. And this right here, this is that internal battle laid bare. On one side, you've got your own expertise, your gut feeling, what you know to be true. That's your internal skeptic. It's telling you the truth. But on the other side, man, there's this powerful systemic pressure, the fear of what's called an identity threat. You're not just scared of getting fired, you're scared of getting a label, being called difficult, or not a team player, or insubordinate. And that social pressure is so immense that it often just shoves us into compliance. This internal conflict, it pushes us into a very specific psychological space. It's known as the agentic state, and this is absolutely crucial. It's like a mental switch flips, and you stop seeing yourself as an individual who's responsible for your actions. Instead, you see yourself as just an agent, someone carrying out the wishes of a higher authority. You're effectively outsourcing your conscience. This is the exact moment control shifts away from you. You stop asking, "Is this the right thing to do?" And you start thinking, "Well, this is what I was told to do." It's a defense mechanism, sure, but it's also the very thing that enables systemic failure. So how does a simple job title get enough power to trigger such a profound psychological shift? Well, to understand that, we need to pop the hood and look at the engine of authority like we're engineers looking at a schematic. We're going to deconstruct where this power actually comes from. Because it's not magic, it's pure mechanics. The bedrock of it all is what sociologists call legitimate power. This is the power that comes straight from the org chart. It's a social contract that we all kind of sign when we join a company or any structured group. We agree that the person in the manager box has authority over the people in the boxes below them. Now here's the real leverage point. This power is granted by the system, not earned by the person. They inherit the system's entire authority the second they get the title, without ever having to prove they actually deserve it. And of course, legitimate power never stands alone. The system gives it tools for enforcement. You've got reward power, that's the carrot, right? Promotions, bonuses, praise. And then you have coercive power, that's the stick. Demotions, punishments, threats. An incompetent leader uses this coercive power not really for discipline, but more like a shield, to hide their own lack of expertise behind the system's power to punish anyone who speaks up. And all of this leads to the core mechanic of the entire system, the decoupling of the person from their role. The whole system is designed to make you respond to the title, not the individual holding it. The authority lives in the box on the org chart, and whoever happens to occupy that box gets to wield it. This separation is what makes the system stable, but it's also what makes it so incredibly vulnerable to being exploited by incompetence. The title becomes the only thing that matters, not the truth or the best idea. Now, a system this powerful isn't just sitting there static. It has a feedback mechanism, a control loop that makes it stronger and more locked in over time. It reinforces itself with every single interaction. Let's break down exactly how it builds on itself, step by step. Okay, just look at how this works. It starts with a simple act. You comply with a directive. That one act of compliance, no matter how small, sends a signal. It validates the whole system. It basically says, yep, this structure is correct.
That in turn deepens everyone's collective trust in the hierarchy, making it feel more natural, more inevitable. And the final step? The authority of the position, not the person, but the position itself, gets even stronger. Every time you obey, you're casting a vote of confidence in the entire structure, making it that much harder to question the next time around.
So the payoff for the person in that position of authority is just immense. They get what we can call the ambiguity advantage. Because the system's default setting is to trust the title, the burden of proof gets flipped. The leader doesn't have to prove their decision is right, you have to prove it's wrong. And you have to do it while fighting against the weight of the entire system. In any gray area, authority becomes the default answer, no matter the merit. It's the strategic high ground, and it's handed to them for free with the title. All right, so we've looked at the external system. Now let's turn inward and look at the internal one. Why are we, as smart, critical thinking people, so susceptible to all this? Well, the answer is that this system doesn't just exist on paper. It actively exploits the pre-existing wiring of our own brains. It pulls these deep psychological levers that are hardwired into us. See, your brain is always making these unconscious calculations to save energy. It's a survival mechanism. And when it's faced with a command from authority, it sees two paths. There's the low-effort path, just comply. Do what you're told. It requires almost no extra thought, it lowers your cognitive load, and it avoids all that social and professional risk. Then there's the high-cost path, dissent. This means you have to do a critical assessment, which burns mental energy. It means challenging the status quo, which carries that huge risk of an identity threat we talked about. Our brains are literally wired to choose the path of least resistance. It's a brilliant, but pretty dangerous, efficiency. And this preference for the easy path is built on several key vulnerabilities. We've got authority bias, which is our natural tendency to just overvalue the opinion of a leader. Our brain is always seeking cognitive load reduction, mental shortcuts to save thinking power. We've been shaped by fear conditioning, learning over a lifetime that speaking up often has negative consequences. And then wrapping it all up is that ever-present identity threat, the fear of being cast out of the group. Positional power works so well because it's a masterclass in exploiting these deep-seated psychological triggers. Okay, so we have analyzed the system, the feedback loop, and the psychology. Now we're going to shift from analysis to action. How do you counter this? How do you navigate a system that is literally designed to encourage blind compliance? You need a protocol, a simple tactical countermeasure designed to re-engage your own critical thinking. I call it the recoupling protocol. The first step of any protocol is just recognizing the trigger, right? The signal to activate this countermeasure is very specific. It's the moment you get a directive that's justified only by the authority of the person giving it. There's no data, no clear logic, no real argument. It's just because I'm the boss. When you hear that, that's your signal. That's the moment you know the person has decoupled from competence and is relying only on the power of their role. And when you recognize that signal, you have to immediately and consciously ask yourself this one single question. What is my moral responsibility for this action? This question is the key that unlocks you from the agentic state. It forces you to shift from being a passive agent of the system back to being an autonomous, responsible individual. It short circuits that outsourcing of your conscience and puts you right back in the driver's seat. This is the moment control shifts back to you. So the protocol itself is simple and it's actionable. Step 1, recognize that signal, authority without merit. Step 2, ask the moral responsibility question to break out of that agentic state. And step 3, apply a very specific tool to test the directive itself. This is where we go from an internal mindset shift to an external strategic action. And that third step is the expert backing test. This is your tactical tool. It's a carefully framed, totally neutral question that's designed to probe for the competence behind the position. It sounds something like, that's an interesting approach. Could you walk me through the data that led you to that conclusion? Or, I want to make sure I get this exactly right. What's the core logic I should be focusing on? See what's happening? You're not challenging them. You are not being insubordinate. You're just asking for information to do your job better. But what you're really doing is testing if there is any expert power to back up their legitimate power. You're forcing them to recouple their person to the responsibilities of their role. Okay, let's bring all this home. We've dissected the system, we've explored the psychology, and we've outlined a tactical response. So what is the single most important strategic insight you should take away from all this? Well, it's about owning your agency inside of any system. The core insight is this. Obedience to a title is not some kind of character flaw. It's a powerful mental habit, one that's been reinforced by systems and exploited by our own cognitive biases for a long time. And just like any other habit, it can be recognized, it can be interrupted, and it can be consciously replaced with a much better one. And when you see it as a habit, not a moral failing, that's when you get the power to actually change it. At the end of the day, it all comes down to this. Your intellectual and moral freedom inside any hierarchy depends entirely on your willingness to simply verify the claims of authority, not to blindly reject them, but just to verify them, to apply that expert backing test and ask for the data, the logic, the evidence. It's that small act of verification that separates the agent from the autonomous individual. We began with this quote as a kind of warning. But now, after breaking down the mechanics, you should see it differently. It's not just a vulnerability in the system, it's a strategic opportunity for you. You now understand how that vulnerability works, why it's there, and exactly how to navigate it. The moment a title is respected more than the truth is the moment of maximum risk, yes, but it's also the moment that you are most needed to ask the right question.